conversation as possible. So I'll introduce the podcast. Jesse will introduce you, and then we'll start with how did you become part of our little world, basically?
Sure.
I know we're recording and we have still 2 minutes, so I don't know, Jesse. I know it takes a.
I'm just starting it to send it to the group. So give me a second. I gotta find the right place to send this to. Actually, not
And
the group.
I'll
Share on my page. Sorry, there it is. Sorry, I was trying to figure it out where I was. All right, and once I click the button, we got like 10 seconds, Marina, so you can start as soon as preparing.
All right.
And JT, thank you so much again.
I believe we are live.
Yep.
Yes. Well,
hello.
hello everyone, and welcome to 88th episode. We have been sort of offline for a little while, but we're back. We have a brand new year of a lot of wonderful events and more Star Trek and more Star Trek and more Star Trek. So here we are, Shirley, your Star Trek Convention Community Podcast. With me, as always, my wonderful co-host, Jesse.
Yes.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
And of course, as you all know, Shoreleaf is part of the Tricorder Transmissions network, which is still humming along with Weekly Track and Track Rank. So make sure to check out our sister events and series. And we have a special today. Now, as many people and many of our listeners know, yes, the Star Trek The Cruise is coming up. So we have a special guest and a wonderful discussion, which we're launching as part of the virtual TrekCon pre-con viewing night. Remember, the actual TrekCon virtual TrekCon is starting tomorrow, but we're the very special ones, as I just mentioned. So we're starting the whole process. And Jesse, please introduce. I mean, we all know, the veteran sailors know our guest very well, but nevertheless, please introduce.
Yeah, so I am very excited to introduce JT Waters with Entertainment Cruise Productions, who does a great job year after year with being our cruise director. I don't know that anyone else can manage this crazy group of Trek fans the way he does and blends in as well as he does. So JT, welcome to our podcast. Welcome to Virtual TrekCon 4. And you want to just start with a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this kind of crazy people group?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse, Marina, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on with you. And it's a crazy day. It's an exciting day for me because I'm in the middle of packing and tying up loose ends and getting ready to fly to LA tomorrow. So, but happy to chat as well. So yeah, I started with Entertainment Cruise Productions officially in 2018, but I met them in 2016, and I was still working for Holland America Line. I was a cruise director there for 11 years or so, something like that. And they used Holland America Line. They used those ships to do some of their charters, some of their music charters. And then they did the 80s cruise in 2016. And then eventually they would do the Star Trek cruise. And I met all the guys and girls from Entertainment Cruise Productions, and they didn't need a cruise director at that time, but we hit it off and we got to work together a lot, and they got to see what I did. I got to see what they did. And then it just so happened that a couple years later, a spot opened up, and my supervisor, Joey Fairchild, who's our production director, remembered me and said, "Hey, do you want to give this a shot? We have an opening, and basically your first big gig is going to be Star Trek The Cruise." And I said, "It sounds like a lot of fun. Bring me up to speed. I know a lot about your company, but I'd like to get fully, in on everything." And they did, and they gave me a shot, and it was a match made in heaven. I like to think I'm only speaking for myself.
No,
I think they enjoy it too.
Yeah,
I wasn't part of the original sailings, the ones that were on the region. So help me out. So there was no cruise director originally on the cruise?
There was.
So that was like
it was a different guy by the name of Dane. And he parted ways with Entertainment Cruise Productions. So I actually did not do the very first one.
Mhm.
I always remember this because Terry Farrell was on the very first one and I hadn't met her yet. So that's how I remember. But I didn't do the first one, but I did the second year. They actually had 2 sailings, if I'm not mistaken, on the second year,
Yeah.
the back to back. So those were my first 2 shots.
Yeah, and that's when I first met JT. The first Dane, the first year, uh, I'll never forget because like he went all in, like JT does. Like Marina, I kid you not, like we had like the Risa celebration, and he came out in Picard's that episode where oh yeah, you know,
Captain's Holiday. Oh gosh.
Captain's
Okay.
Holiday,
You know
like
something? Let me
speedos and all.
those who sailed last year, I believe nothing will ever. I mean, I think this is one now is an epic story about the tuxedo speedo, because that literally,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I
Yeah,
don't
thanks,
know how he
JT, for
managed
that
to pull
one.
it off, but every year consistently, you just blow our all collective minds with what you do. Which kind of brings me to the question: how do you prepare for our little week of insanity? I mean, I know that these are chartered cruises, themed cruises, it's a thing apart from a regular cruising, but nevertheless, how do you prepare? Like how much effort goes into like, okay, I'm going to be spending like a whole week with these geeks.
It's a year-long thing, even though it's only one week on board. It really does take us all year to prepare for everything. And you know, as far as the content goes, I'm very, you know, I'm basically solely responsible for coming up with, you know, my own speeches and my game show content and if I happen to do a trivia here and there. I start writing that stuff the day after I disembark the ship. So, you know, and sometimes it'll come to me if I'm on a jog, or, you know, as we get closer and I need to nail down certain things, I'll start working on specifics. But I really start planning the day after the cruise ends for the next year. So it takes a lot of work. It's, you know, if I'm not doing my work with building the content for the events that I'm running, I'm helping the other guys program. So we're looking at who the headline shows are in the Royal Theater, and we're trying to figure out what goes in and around that. You know, what are people going to do when they're not eating? What are they going to do when they're not in the shows? So the programming is a huge job, and that takes up a lot of time as well. It's a very fun one though. And then we also get together for, you know, we'll have team meetings, and, you know, we'll go to St. Louis and we'll all sit down and we'll break down the cruise, what went well, what can we improve on, that kind of thing. So there's definitely work to keep us going year round. But specifically for me, it's a lot of writing content and preparing for the specific events that I host. And if I can lend a hand to writing things for the morale officers or anyone else, I'll chip in with that as well.
So do you kind of reach out to people who are like hardcore Star Trek, or people who've even been around the con scene? I mean, I'm guessing there's some kind of interaction between the con scene and the cruise, but I don't know.
We have help from CBS. We have help from I know Jordan Hoffman has been a huge help. StarTrek.com this year, we're doing more. So yeah, we you know, this is definitely not something the Entertainment Cruise Productions can pull off on their own. It's everyone chips in to see if they can put their flair on this and make this truly the best possible voyage we can, and something that stands apart from the convention, which is really our goal, because I know that's how we promoted the unconventional voyage, and we try to stick to that as much as possible. And we want to come up with, you know, fun things, but bizarre things that you would not expect, or things that you wouldn't get to do at the convention. So everyone has a hand in that.
Yeah, and that is most certainly something to point out for those of our listeners and those who are watching right now. You know, make sure to check out the cruise when you have an opportunity, because you will see the content that actually almost never, you know, like the games, the presentations, the play readings. That's not a typical convention fare that you see in the land-based conventions, and that's something most definitely happens on the cruise. And, you know, I'm sure we're going to touch upon. Jesse, we wanted to discuss the location, because most, you know, this year it's the first for, well, the Trek cruise, we have a different location. The previous sailings were
Yeah,
out of a
yeah,
different port, different state.
yeah, it's really funny to see the feedback because every year that we've been out of the Florida, right? The one
Mhm.
year Port Canaveral and then Miami, and you know, like the West Coast folks are like, I have to go all the way over there, but they don't complain. And even the folks that come overseas, they're like, you know, I have to fly all the way to Florida, and they don't complain. But it's been funny this year. They're like, oh man, I have to go all the way to the West Coast, and I'm like, well, these people have been coming to the East Coast forever, and you know, I get to the West Coast not frequent enough. You know, I've like a lot of my friends there. We have a LA away team there who's very active, goes to all the
Yeah.
premieres, and so like this is a great time to kind of give them their due where they don't have to pay that extra plane ticket to get to where we're going. But
Sure.
do you happen to know, you know, how is that decision made? Is that all like behind the scenes and they just tell you where you're going, or how's that all kind of
No,
come
it's
together?
that it is up to us. It's funny you mention that because I'm from Florida. I've been in Florida my whole life, and when I found out that we were going to the West Coast, I thought, oh, this is an opportunity to rack up some airline miles. That's
Yeah,
the first place my brain went.
yeah.
So I'm loving it. No, it's just to shake it up. That's truly the main thing. It's just
Yeah.
to give the guests some new scenery, and we'll be back in Florida, but we like to change things up just to keep things interesting. That's really the only reason.
No,
I'm curious. I mean, it was like 6 very successful sailings in a row, so I'm sure things got probably streamlined and it's sort of like, you already know how everything works with the ports and everything. Now, all of a sudden you're switching. Is there like a difference to how things are prepared, if you know, or is it just feels like, well, yeah, we just switch the port, that otherwise everything is pretty much the same preparation?
It's pretty similar. There's really not a lot of shakeup as far as the production and the logistics that go into this. This is also an itinerary that's very common, and
Mhm.
everyone at Entertainment Cruise Productions, we have decades and decades and decades of experience between our team, and it truly is just new scenery. It's not gonna put
Yeah.
any big obstacles in our way. There's a couple things that are we have to adjust a little bit, but for the most part, no. It's just we just have our arrival times, our all aboard times, and we fill in the blanks in between and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I know that all the guests on Star Trek the Cruise have been used to, we do have time changes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Usually it's just one. The bizarre thing with the Mexican Riviera itinerary is Puerto Vallarta really does its own thing. It's kind of
Mhm.
so we actually do have two time changes. That's the only, if you even
Ah,
want to call that an obstacle, I don't really
yeah.
think so. But so we'll lose an hour 2 times, but then we'll gain an extra hour of sleep 2 times as well. But other than that, it's really, we're used to 7-day cruises, so we're ready to go. We're excited.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't,
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
yeah,
because
I
I
haven't
actually I've
heard of
never
anyone
I'm
on our
sorry.
cruise, but no, I haven't heard of anyone on our cruise not making it back to the ship, but maybe I just haven't heard it because they're embarrassed. But we're usually
I don't
pretty
think
good
so,
for
no.
because we like to party. So, you know, wherever the party is, we want to be. So, but
Yeah.
Well,
I know the time changes can
Trekkies
be a
tend to
little.
be yeah, but Trekkies tend to be pretty self-organizing people, so I think we
Yeah.
should be fine. We should be fine. I'm very excited about LA because
I don't
I've
think.
never been I've never been to LA as like an actual destination, so
Mhm.
I'm using this as an opportunity to actually see the city.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been. It's worth seeing for sure. I know people have different opinions on LA, I guess, but it's a big city. I know traffic is rough, but we're out of Long Beach.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The sail away is going to be beautiful. It's really stunning.
Oh,
Great view as we pull out. Um, but yeah, just to backtrack a little bit, that was one of the first things when I was on Star Trek for the very first time, Star Trek the Cruise. I thought, wow, they really know how to party. This is, but I will say, to my knowledge, I don't think we've left anyone in port, or at least I'm
yeah.
not aware of it.
Mhm.
No, we've been
I
pretty
don't think so.
lucky.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes mixed a port somewhere, but he made it up the next day. So
Oh,
that's
okay. Well, yeah.
yeah,
If
that's
you
the
blow
only
your
thing
own
I
way to the
remember.
next port, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. As long as they eventually get on the ship, we're fine, you know, like
Right.
you know. But Yeah, we are a close-knit group, so we would notice if someone was missing, like, definitely. So do you have, so for this year, we know that there was mention of like a community group room, because I know we provided feedback about, hey, we've got clubs that come and craft exchanges, and it'd be nice to centralize that. And I heard that there was, I know I read something about a community room. Do you know anything about that, if that's actually going to happen or
Yeah,
anything like
I
that?
do. Yeah, we are implementing it, and it's going to be, in fact, we added way more hours into it too, because
Oh,
at
good.
first we were thinking, everyone wants to see these Mexican ports, and
Mhm.
that's true. But if for some reason people want to stay on board, we thought, why not have it open during the port time as well? So it's going to be open for a vast majority of the cruise. So basically, it's going to be the Cosmopolitan Club. So it's the room with the view,
Ah,
as I like to call it, all the
Oh,
okay.
way up
awesome. Yeah.
on deck 14 in the back of the ship
Excellent.
there. And it's going to be it's going to be, you sign up just at the entrance, and
Mhm.
it's, honor code. You can't sign up for more than 1 hour per day, but you do get 45 minutes if you want to have a group, or you want to give a presentation, or you want to have a game, or you want to have whatever
Yeah.
you can think up. But you get it for 45 minutes. We do have hour blocks, but the reason we only do 45 minutes is because we want to leave 15 minutes for cleanup,
Hmm.
or gathering materials from the last group to the next group, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's going to open up on day one, in the afternoon. So
Excellent.
anyone, if you have a common interest group, or you have like I said, you want to give a presentation, or you just want to get away from it and be in a private area, we're going to provide a microphone up there, and that kind of thing. So that is going to be something that we haven't done before, but we'll see how it goes. Well, we're excited to see how popular it is. We're excited to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
how quickly the board fills up.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure
Is it,
Marina will be there practicing karaoke, right?
There you go.
no, 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 no. But you know what? But it's a wonderful idea, because I mean, over the years, there's more certainly like certain different events accumulated. And the one that there definitely comes to mind is, of course, the craft swap, which is kind of born out of Star Trek Las Vegas, and it became a thing at other events, including the cruise. So it's most
Mhm.
certainly, we'll see. Like, are we going to use the community room? Is it going to be too small? Because at this point, we kind of it's impossible to gauge how many people will actually show up. It sounds like a lot. Everybody's so excited about an idea of craft swap.
Mhm.
How many people will actually be there, we don't know. But it's a wonderful thing to at least know that it's there.
Yeah.
And most certainly, I mean, between the different clubs, like Starfleet International or the LA
Yeah.
away team, whoever might want to get together, keep this
Mhm.
in mind, that this is available for your use. And
Yeah.
yeah, and thank you for making this available.
Yeah,
Yeah, and usually
that
the
is
way these things go too is, even if it's not very well attended on this year, because it's the first year we're doing it,
Yeah.
people might not know that it was going to happen in the first place. So if people see it this year and they think, oh, well, I can get some people together
Hmm.
for next year, who knows? So we might just keep it open for next year too, if
Yeah.
even if the attendance is not what we thought it might be. But it's going to be a fun spot. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful room. We're going to keep the bar open, obviously, so
Yeah.
it should be a nice
I think you
component.
sold it right
I
there, keeping the bar open. We'll be fine.
I find this a very interesting aspect of the cruise specifically. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many conventions actually use the same approach, where you actually try to, like, something works, fans do something, or perhaps like there are issues with the travel and you're forced to change programming. Like we wanted to
Mm.
actually bring up the wonderful thing, the the lip syncing, the lip reading thing that Denise Crosby does, which is
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
hilarious. But
Interstellar
I believe
Improv.
this was born out of something
Yeah,
happened on one of the early cruises, and now it
that
kind
was
of grew
the
into this whole part of the a feature of the programming.
yeah,
So yeah.
that was the first cruise. We were on Norwegian, and I forget the itinerary, but we had weather like 2 or 3 days in, and then we had to skip. Actually, we had to skip Norwegian's island, whatever their Coco
Oh, so
Cay
like you
is.
skip the actual port. You
Oh,
didn't
Yeah,
have a
okay.
port day.
and
Ooh.
then I just remember everybody, like, you just kept, like, everyone at ECP was kind of huddling when we found out, and they were planning and planning and planning, and we just knew we weren't going to make it the next day. They said, we're going to figure this out, and by the next day, they must have worked through the night. There was all this content and entertainment, and it was everywhere. It was like in the where you first walk in the lobby, all the rooms had content, but my favorite was Denise Crosby and Ethan Phillips, I think, did this mystery science theater thing to like Star Trek, the original series. And it was absolutely hilarious. They made Captain Kirk and Spock say things you know they would never say, and it was not PG-13.
Man,
and
when
now
you
it's
get those two
and
together, how could it not be a good one?
yeah.
Well, and then the
Yeah.
next year they added Robert Picardo, and I was like, oh my God, you know, you just get ready to like pee yourself if they do it again, because it is
Yeah,
absolutely.
and now it's a feature of the programming. It's like you kind of go in expecting that it's going to be part of the schedule somewhere. I'm amazed at, like, but speaking of things like that, when you kind of throw in a complete, out of the blue, oh shoot, we have to literally change everything because something came up. Like we have these international alerts all of a sudden coming up for some of the Mexican cities. Do you actually have backup plans for that sort of thing, or you kind of like just hope like, okay, we have everything, a great team, everything worked out. I'm sure we'll figure it out if something goes on, or you do have some sort of plan B, plan C, plan D.
Yeah, sure. And it depends, it depends on what the issue is. But if if it has to do with the city we're gonna pull into, or it's a national issue, that the company Royal Caribbean or Norwegian or Holland or Celebrity Cruise, whatever the ship you're on, they're always going to put the guest safety first, so that
Of course.
they're the first ones to make those decisions and say, is it safe to go into port, is it not safe. Now when it comes to weather, that's more up to us. That's the captain will always try to avoid whatever we're headed into. That's the big secret. All he does is try to avoid the storm. So, and they do that the best they can. But when it comes to the events, that's up to Entertainment Cruise Productions. So if we know that we're going to miss a port, yes, we will have a meeting and we will start putting more events into the program. We'll try to make an additional program that's, made of paper and can be put into all the elevators or digital signage, whatever we have at our disposal. And the best way for us to do that is for the captain to let us know as early as possible, because if we wake up and it's already 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and we're being told, hey, we're not going to make it into X or Y or Z today, then it's tougher. I have to hop on the PA system and say, we're going to get this information to you as quick as possible. We're trying to put it together and make it make sense and all that stuff. Now, if we know that info at like 6 or 7 a.m., it's so much easier. It's not a fun phone call to get, but it's easier.
Yeah. Well, I'm very curious. So JT, you've been with us for a few years now. What, besides being the only person I've seen George Takei drop their mouth to going, I don't know what the hell's going on. What kind of do you think about when you think about Star Trek The Cruise? What's kind of been a moment or two that have been like, wow, I just never seen anything like that, or that was fun, I'd do it again type of thing?
Oh, that's a great question. When I first started, I think the thing that made me the happiest and made me think this is such a great group and I'm so happy to be a part of this cruise is just how much everyone lets their guard down and dresses up and gets into character and just kicks back. I truly have never seen a group of people just go into ultimate vacation mode as well as with Star Trek The Cruise. And I mean that as a compliment, because doing this job for so many years, I have seen, and I promise you this is true, it takes some people a long time to realize that they're on vacation. And I always say to the crowd, you can't do that. It's only a 7-day cruise. You gotta hit the ground running. Right from minute number one, you gotta get out there and really make sure you take advantage of your vacation. I don't have to say that to Star Trek The Cruise. They know that. it's in them. So that's something that I really love. To answer your question about what have I seen that really blows me away is just the participation for theme nights in particular. It's just so fun. Really,
yeah,
really
and
fun.
I can tell you for sure that, like, as a cruiser, and I kind of am amongst the Star Trek fans doing this and that. I mean, the one thing I can tell you for sure that we appreciate is the safe space. So it's
Mhm.
not always safe to dress up like an alien, you know? And ECP providing a ship that is safe, and we all know, I mean, you know, people are people, but for the most
Sure.
part, safe space to dress up. It's a safe space where no one's going to call you a weird name because you look strange. Even in Vegas, we get that, you know, because we're not exclusively taking over a hotel and a convention. But on this cruise, and I will tell you, whatever you tell the royal staff, like we are always shocked year after year about how into it the royal staff gets.
No
Royal
doubt.
Caribbean staff or Norwegian, like, I mean, some of them are popping out stuff that they're like waiting for the right cruise to put it on, and like I see ears pop out, and these Star Trek things that they've been hiding probably from each other. So that's a credit to ECP because it's not easy to provide that, and ECP's provided that since day one, since the first cruise.
Good.
So.
Yeah. If well, you mentioned I made George Takei's jaw drop. If somebody made my jaw drop, I do have one memory, and I think it was from my second year, and it was if there was one thing that made my jaw drop, it was Ethan Phillips's R-rated stand-up show.
Not jaw drop, but that makes me blush.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. I was not expecting it.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's one of those things where I think it's between Ethan Phillips and John Billingsley to the point where like you don't know who's gonna one up each other. And
You're
oh
right.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, you're right. John Billingsley needs to be included in this conversation too. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
And I think we're so conditioned to like early and late, like we don't even think of it as early dinner or late dinner. We think about like if we have the late show, it's the dirty show.
Mhm.
But part of the things of the shows are what you guys have done with like the squares and Family Feud and all the different events. I think I don't know the one where let's. I mean, you've done so much I can't even remember. But like how, you know, what goes behind that thinking? I mean, and does it change year after year after you see the participation the year before? Because
Yeah,
those are unique.
yeah, we constantly see that game show night is one of the most popular nights on
Mhm.
board. The general consensus is that's always a blast. The attendance is always really good. So we always want to have it, but we don't want to keep doing the same thing year after year after year after year, which is why you've seen the actual game show change. So we've done. I had a blast doing. We did Jeopardy, although we did Jeopardy in Studio B, I guess it was at one point. But yeah, the Trek Squares, the feud. I feel like I'm forgetting one or two, but yeah, we have another one this year, and it's none of
Mhm.
the things I just said, and it's going to be. I had a lot of fun writing it with Joey, and the other thing I don't know if I'm going to get into trouble for divulging too much info, but I think we're going to send out a blast here in the next day or two. In fact, when this airs, it might be common knowledge, I guess. But we're gonna hit it right on night number 1 this year. So we're gonna do game show night on night number 1, just to really
Wow.
get into the party vibe, and we want multiple actors on stage. We want laughs. We want to really hit it hard right off the bat. So
Yeah, so that means Marina will have to when it comes out, we'll have to let people know. You know, usually the cruise sites say put your swimsuit in your carry-on so you don't have to wait for it to show up. So you're just gonna see a bunch of costumes under arms walking in there.
yeah, exactly.
My favorite thing about the game show is no matter what show it is, it always starts like let's make a deal where everybody is dressed so silly hoping to be picked to be part of the show. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you better believe we certainly have a unique way of doing it this year too.
Great. Looking forward
I
to
can't wait. My God.
it.
Let's see. We were gosh, I'm at this point,
See,
like I
this is
don't
what
know.
happens. I take Marina off of the agenda and she's like lost now.
No, but I'm like, I don't
Okay.
know. I
We
don't
just
want to
wing
ask
it.
a question, and JT was just gonna go, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. And I'm like,
Oh no, I love it.
no, but is there anything like else that you're allowed to actually mention? Like that, will we have for example, like, I don't know, like my favorite in 2020 cruise was Nana's cooking show. And on Twitter, I asked her and she said, well, maybe. And I'm like, well, I wonder, like, will there be like additional things of that nature? Because it's not just games. There are actually
Yeah,
some pretty serious, like Q&As happening and other things. So
right.
anything else you might like give us a hint?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you again. Maybe I'll get slapped on the wrist by ECP. But I just don't care because I'm having fun and I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say. But I will say that the cooking shows in particular are a struggle because ever since the pandemic started, the food and beverage protocol on board has become much more stringent, and it's not something that we can bypass, and it also wouldn't make for a fun event. There's definitely no more sampling anything, so that is going to be tough to do
Makes sense.
until further notice, basically. I guess you could say. We are still going to have tastings, in the controlled environments where they we'll still do wine tastings and mixologies, and there will be charity brunches, so food will be involved. But as far as the demonstration and the samples, that's going to be tough to do going forward. But Nana still is going to be involved in some other things too. So, like I said, if we run into a dead end in one spot, we'll try to think of a new idea or a new event. And the beauty of all the actors is they're so comfortable and fun in regard to, even coming up with their own ideas sometimes. And but yeah, we're going to try to keep some new things coming, but that one in particular is just tougher.
Yeah, we did notice that, we knew after the pandemic that the artist hosted excursions were going to be a challenge, right? Because you just never know what the protocols are.
Sure.
But like, I will say there's a lot of liquor this year with the stars.
Hey, listen, that it's the best, like look at Vegas, it's like, they said, Woodstock was, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, we have alcohol and science fiction, there you go. Added about the tastings, for those who don't know, the wine tasting, and particularly whiskey tastings. Oh my goodness, especially the ones hosted by Dr. Aaron. I highly recommend, because you get science and alcohol, and it's a marvelous combination.
Yeah, we'll have her do that again. She's too good at that for us not to put that in the program.
It's actually, it was hilarious. There was another tasting that I attended, and I cannot remember the details, unfortunately, on top of my head right now. But I think it was a wine tasting, and the ship's chief sommelier was a part of it. So he was actually the one giving the details on the wines and everything. Now, the whiskey tasting, no, Dr. Aaron knows the history of whiskey, which whiskey, how to deal with whiskey. So in this case, it's like it's a double thing. Like I'm telling you, you're getting both the history of whiskey and the science of Star Trek in one go.
Yeah, she's in a class by herself. She's the expert. They didn't have somebody that could have done what she did on board. So yeah, they have a sommelier, which is great, but somebody with her knowledge of that in particular, no way.
No, because it's literally, and it kind of goes so smoothly, because she'll be talking about, she's of Scottish heritage, so, and she studied in Scotland, so she has firsthand knowledge of a lot of things, and she'll be talking about I don't know, something, space-side whiskeys, and then in the next breath we'll be talking about gravity waves and how it pertains to Star Trek. So it's amazing.
Yeah,
it really is. And I know, like, this year, so we were rather entertained by the epic issue where we couldn't, like the first time they said, hey, sign up for this artist hosted stuff, and we couldn't get in, and there was a redo, and I affectionately called it the Hunger Games because I kid you not, like 11 on the dot, there were 27 messages pending in the group. Can you get in? Can you get in? Can you get in? And I'm like, oh no. But it was
technical glitch.
As much as I heard complaints about, oh, I couldn't get off work or this or that, it really actually is even a fun event in itself to watch how excited people are. Not just because it's with the whoever the celebrity is, but the events themselves are unique, and even the tastings. Like most of us wouldn't even think about what these are like. Or what happens with them unless the celebrity just makes it something that we want to do in the future. So that's a good
but also to keep in mind, for those who are hearing about this for the very first time, these are just standalone things that they obviously ticketed. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily missing out on stuff. You're gonna have 7 days chock full of amazing programming with all these guests. It's not like you're not gonna have an access to Denise Crosby or anything else. You might even, bump into them in the elevator or in the corridor somewhere, aside from even, like, again, games and presentations and this and that. Are we having anything musical this year? Like Bob Picardo did a wonderful concert last year, and we had the closing thing. So
Yes,
any hints there?
we
Anybody
are
gonna
gonna
be
have
doing anything
we're gonna have some
musical?
music for sure. We're
Yay.
gonna have a couple nights of music on the main stage in the Royal Theater, and then as far as so we are gonna do the variety show again to close the cruise, because that was a pretty big hit from what we
Yay.
saw. But we
It's
are,
wonderful.
and I know this is hard to believe, but we are still putting final touches on that. We have things in place to put the show on, but it's, believe it or not, it's still not 100% complete. And the reason for that, and it's kind of fun in my opinion, is because we like to get on board and kind of see if anyone wants to step forward and do anything in particular. So we did it for the first time, the variety show. It was our first year doing it last year. So now that the actors know that we're doing it, they'll, once they see it programmed again, we might want to put some things in. I'll say last minute, but it won't be last minute. It'll be within the next, week or whatever. But yeah, we are going to have some music elements as well.
Yeah, and so our internet sleuths did a lot of sleuthing when you announced DJ Storm, and we're all excited. I think her viewership or her channel went up by 2,000 people the minute that she was introduced.
Yeah.
So we're very much looking forward to having her on board. But how was that like going through how do you even prepare a DJ for something like this who probably hasn't done something like this before?
I suppose the question is, like, do you reach out to somebody, or you just say, anybody who would like to join us, like
we reach out. This is something that I would probably defer to Joey Fairchild, our production director, to talk about this, because he was the one to do the research and scout. And it's not as casual as, hey, if anyone wants to do this, we really try to make sure that we bring on the most professional we can possibly find, and we want to make sure their music library is vast as well. So to be honest, I'll be blatantly honest with you, I don't know a lot about Storm, but I'm very excited to meet her, and she's gonna kick things off at the sail away party, so that's going to be my first taste. But this one, I will tell you, this was a long process to find DJ Storm, and it finally happened not too long ago, I feel like. But we're all thrilled, and we're excited to see what she brings to the cruise.
We appreciate it. I mean, especially we've got quite a few return cruisers, year to year. And it's nice to mix it up, right? And thoroughly looking forward to that. Yeah. I'm just excited. I think one of the other things that we wanted to discuss, a couple of things. So we know about, like, last year we didn't get to take advantage of the escape room that Royal usually has on all their ships. And so this year I see that we can. But do you guys touch the escape room, or is that a Joey maybe not kind of question?
Entertainment Cruise Productions doesn't. We have to let the ship run that as the escape room that they have prepared. And I don't know if it's just too much of a logistical nightmare to get CBS involved to theme it, because it's already a very specific room that has its quirks for obvious reasons, because it's an escape room. But that will be available to everybody, and it'll be in the program in the hours section, and anyone's more than welcome to go enjoy it. But it will be Royal Caribbean's version of the escape room.
Got it.
Well, it's in theme enough, if I remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it kind of has like this very science look to it, so I think it's gonna fit wonderfully.
Have either of you done one?
No, never before.
I haven't either. I've never none.
I don't. I'm usually okay for new stuff, but like I live in Atlanta and I don't have a lot of Trek friends, or I moved here for work during the pandemic, so I haven't met bunch of people. So I would not walk into an escape room by myself to join a team that I don't know. So the
I'm with
cruise
you
will
on that one.
probably be it.
But you don't know, it could be fun.
Yeah, but I agree with Jesse. I need a group. It's not happening any other way.
Yeah, like I don't mind being the center of attention, but like I have to have people who know me to let me be the center of
Sure.
attention.
Yeah.
But the other thing is a Star Trek theme type museum that
Yeah, the
I see.
Starfleet Museum. Yep.
Mhm.
Now
Do
we
you
know that's
know?
going to be on board. Yeah.
No doubt. Yep.
Yeah. Do you know anything like usually they theme it? I mean, of course, this year it's hard because this year we're so much Star Trek on, on the air, right? So we got Picard, Discovery,
And
Lower
Prodigy.
Decks, Prodigy,
Lower.
Strange New Worlds. Do you have any idea what the plan would be for that?
No,
Or is
and
that
that's because to be honest with you, they kind of keep us in the dark to a
Mhm.
certain extent too. It's really the grand reveal happens on board.
Well,
We don't know too much about it other than I can tell you where it'll be, but it'll be up in deck 12 by the
yeah, yeah.
Lightspeed Art
Deck.
Gallery as well, which
Mhm.
we'll have this year too. But that'll have to be a surprise for everybody as far as what's inside.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it because all the times that I went, the Starfleet Museum was always just mind-blowingly good because it was whether it was like legacy or brand new
Yeah.
shows, with the costumes or props. It was something very, very special that you don't really find anywhere else.
Hmm.
So I'm really
And
looking
it's
forward to that.
grown. It has grown over the years. The
Mhm.
first Star Trek museum was literally like those counters that they have on the ship to show those like jewelry, like those
Right.
jewelry
Yeah.
glass covered counters,
Mhm.
right? And it was like 4 or 5 of them, and then a couple of things on a wall. And now it's its whole section, and I'm just thrilled because a lot of us, a good portion of the cruise group, cruisers have become like Star Trek cruisers only, right? So that's their one Star Trek thing to do a year.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
some of us do more, some of us do less, but it's just really good to see how we've lived up to the unconventional voyage, because that's
Right.
truly what it is, and it just keeps doing that. So
Hmm.
I
now
had a question. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Jesse. So
no,
you
go ahead.
mentioned Lightspeed Fine Art, which has been a part of the cruise for a while. Now, has there ever been considerations of adding other vendors? So, for example, we talked about tastings. Now, a wonderful licensee that produces really great alcohol is, of course, Star Trek Wines.
Hmm.
And now they do both wines and liquors, actually. So, as a hypothetical, like, is it a possibility of actually having them come on board and do their thing, like
It
with the tastings and with talks about it?
Yeah, it is. So from what I was told, there was an issue with how much they had in the past.
Mhm.
I believe the supply wasn't where it needed to be, but the answer to your question is yes. We'd love, if they listen to this, we'd love to have them, chat again, see if we can't make something
Yeah.
happen. But that's not out of the question. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that makes sense because when they first came out, it was like two products basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and it was timed, ironically enough, it was timed with Picard season 1. Remember that
Yeah.
Chateau Picard, this whole trouble that they went into to make an actual Chateau Picard. And now it's this, they have a line of 10 wines.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
They
it
have
kind of becomes sort of a wonderful addition to whether you're having a convention or,
Yeah. I
well,
didn't know they
certainly on
did
the cruise.
liquor. That's interesting.
I think it's under it's not Star Trek Wines. I think it has a separate name, and
Oh,
they
okay.
have and it's bright blue. So we have the
Oh,
Romulan
cool.
ale and the Romulan whiskey
Nice.
and the vodka, and so it's wonderful.
Good.
The more
Yeah.
the merrier.
But yeah, I mean, that would be great in the
More
future.
alcohol is always welcome.
Hey,
Now,
what else are you gonna do?
yeah. Now, again, this is maybe something that's a surprise for the cruise. Now, this year marks DS9's 30th anniversary, and we obviously have yeah, and a large number of Deep Space Nine actors coming on board. Is there anything special being planned? Will there be like we had 2020, we had a giant Voyager panel. Will there be something similar on board, or are you planning completely something to surprise folks?
That is
That is a surprise.
yeah, we're that I've been told to just steer
We
clear
get
of
it.
anything that they have going on that even they wouldn't bring me into because they know I'll blab about it. So
he gets
Well,
he gets out by the way the actors go, oh, it's an NDA and I can't talk about, so
a lot
so
of
that's
times, honestly, a lot of times Joey, my supervisor, will come to me mid-cruise and say, "Hey, we're doing this," and I'll be like, "Oh, really?" Things that they didn't tell me that we were going to do.
yeah. And we actually, I think that's one of the things that I like the most is I'm very relaxed about the schedule because like I've learned over time that something is going to come up and the schedule is going to go out the window because that's more fun or more exciting, not the whole schedule, but just like if
yeah.
I've stopped planning because if I go, I want to go to this and this and this, and then over the air, you hear JT going, by the way,
Yeah.
I just rip it up and go on.
Yeah,
So
speaking as an Uber planner, because again, I'm a person of spreadsheets. It's okay to plan, but just like you have to like not set it in your mind that I'm gonna do this and this and that, because that never works whether you plan or not. You just have to go with the flow to a certain degree where it's like it's fine to have some sort of framework to how you plan to have your day. But like Jesse said, things can come up. You will find that, they're having a gathering over there and it's going to be more fun to do this than have to go to a scheduled Q&A, for example. It can
Yeah.
happen. And yeah, things change. Perhaps the schedule will change midway through, or you find yourself stuck somewhere.
Sure.
over time. So I remember my first cruise, I was like, uh, uh, I'm pretty sure I was happy that neither of you were on there because we cruised away at 12 and by 4, I'm pretty sure my picture was on all the bars as in do not serve. Because I did not, because unfortunately I wasn't ready. But
Is that Jesse? Is that the one where they had to basically search for your cabin because nobody knew where you were
yes, they
staying?
had to
Like, is this
find
one of
me.
yours? One of yours?
Yes. I have, they have been knocks on doors trying to figure out where I was or where I was supposed to be because I was being dragged around. But
Yeah.
I'm older now because I was like 12 then. But I know one of the things I go in and I go after each year. So honestly, this is one of the vacations that I go that like I need a vacation from the vacation gladly because I
Yeah.
go all out.
Yeah.
So anyone who comes in with the plan of, up by 7, bed by 12, that's not going to work because I will tell you,
No.
up is when I get up and I'm very happy I'm on vacation. That's when I'm going to get up. They're very good at not planning anything too crazy. I did
Yes.
accidentally walk into Mary Chifo yoga one morning as I was on my breakfast. And after I did my version of the, beached whale, I did get to say hi. But the night times are also like I love how you keep us young by keeping the night activities actually when we expect them to have them. So some people get shocked, like, oh, when does the night thing start? Because they're concerned about like, do I get dressed for dinner? I'm like, do whatever you want for dinner. You're still going to have an hour or two to get ready for a party.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely love it. I just don't know, JT, how you keep the energy to like be everywhere all at once.
Yeah, it feels like you're
you
up
are that
24/7, literally.
It's an illusion. Yeah, it does appear that way, but I have a phenomenal team to help me with all the events that you see in the program. But where I get my breaks is on the port days. We purposely don't have loads of programming because we know people want to go ashore, and then if they're ashore, if we did try to program something on board, they would feel like they're missing out, and they're right. So I usually get some downtime to maybe squeeze in a nap or call home or whatever you want to, but those are key. And then I mean there are times where you will see me literally running from event to event. But you know what? It's 1 week a year and I gear up for it and I drink a lot of coffee and it's a blast. So bring it on. But yeah. And to both your points, Jesse, you say no need to keep a schedule. Marina, you're a schedule keeper. You can do either. The beauty of these cruises too is you kind of figure out what which type you are, and it becomes second nature after a while. But we just try to put a bunch of things in the program, and we do hear people say sometimes there's too much going on, we can't get to everything. And I always say, you know, the good news is you're going to have a lot of choices to make. The bad news
Yes.
is you're going to have a lot of choices to make.
That's precisely it. That's precisely it. And once you figure out like how you fit into this vibe of this, like, all the events, conventions, different sizes, cruise, they all have their own vibes. And the things that you can't, it's a fact of life. You can't see everything. You can't go everywhere. You can't meet everyone. So unfortunately, some choices have to be made, but once you make them, you have a tremendous time.
Sure.
So I can't believe it. We're in single digits next week. It's happening.
And we're so and I'll tell you, like, we're humans, right? So you're either going to hear there's too much to do, or you're going to hear there's not enough to do. So I'd rather you plan so there's too much to do, so that
Exactly.
you just never know what's going to happen. One of the things that I was asked to share with you is the group of us who made the board collective last year. We want to appreciate you calling us out, because we have definitely it's just become like a mission to make every cruise, specifically. And there's, I think, 9 of us who have been on all of them, including the back-to-back. And so we're in this Facebook
That's
chat.
amazing.
And, we're just like, we're totally excited, and we're all very just looking forward to seeing, how it keeps growing.
That's really cool. 9's impressive.
That's
really
amazing.
impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, because like I was a consultant when I started, and now I work at a university, and I have no idea how every year I maneuver my way around classes and schedules and my responsibilities. But one of the things is the Wi-Fi has gotten better, so I may be taking meetings on board. They may hear
Jesse.
They may hear
not work. It's on vacation. Come on.
Well, I keep it on the down low, because I don't want anyone to know that I'm working, and I definitely don't want anyone at school knowing that I'm working from a ship. But it happens, and I think we all do that. So
you're not the only one.
No,
but you're right. It's pretty good, I gotta say. And I won't mention other cruise lines, but I think it's the best that I've encountered anyway.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, some of the people who are going on this particular cruise have already actually been specifically on Navigator, and they seemed quite pleased with how things were working out. So I'm very excited about that.
If you want to talk hardcore, JT, there are cruisers right now who are going on this same itinerary right before they go on this itinerary again for Star Trek The Cruise. So,
wow. Okay.
And then we have some weekenders too. I mean, it's when I look, we're starting to see pictures like, this is where you'll have this, and this is where that, and we're getting reports. Like I feel like
they've already been.
Yeah. I know Dana. Dana.
Yes, Dana Taylor. Yes,
right. She's been on this. She was actually the first one. She did it 2 or 3 months ago, I think. She went on the trip, and she sent us daily updates on the port and what she saw and what she did, and so we've gotten a sneak peek. But what people don't know is like it's totally different, because
when it's Trek, when it's a charter.
Right.
And how and I don't know how Joey does this, but the decorations just like fit. Like it's never like we just stuck a Star Trek sticker on something. It always fits into the scheme of the trip.
Oh yeah.
And I love going before the 80s cruise, because when the turnover starts, I make it my mission to go take at least a couple of 80s cruise pictures, just to make believe
just to mess with people. Admit it, you just want to mess with people. Now we're almost out of time here, and I just wanted to
did say we respect your time. So
yes, well, and then we actually covered most of the things that we wanted to touch upon. And again, there are plenty of surprises, so there's a lot to look forward to. And so basically, any kind of last minute thoughts? Is there anything that you in particular looking forward to? I mean, I know that I'm looking forward to like literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of touched on it. The ship is so awesome. The ship is really cool. It's obviously going to look very similar to the Mariner, but it has some upgrades. It just there's new restaurants. There's The food offerings by the pool are better, in my opinion. It's just an awesome ship, and I think everyone's going to be thrilled with everything it has to
Definitely.
offer. In addition to the ship, just the Navigator being so fun. I can tip for anyone that has not been to the Mexican Riviera, it is one of the most fun itineraries in the world. The ports, yes, one might say can be slightly touristy, but I kind of like that. I think it's, everything is right there. They're the types of ports where you don't have to get a cab to go have fun. You dock or you anchor, and all the fun is right there. So it enables you to go get all of your fun in, and then it's not a long trip back to the ship. They're just really, really great spots, Cabo and Puerto Vallarta. So I think everyone's going to have a blast, not only on board, but off the ship too.
Gosh, I can't wait.
Well,
So
thank
for
you
those
so much.
for those who just to those who are going, and I know that this was actually pointed out in one of the emails that we received recently from ECP. Make sure that, so those who are going, make sure that you actually are checked in, because it's a surprisingly low percentage of people who checked in online so far.
Oh yeah.
Make sure that you print your luggage tags if you're planning to have your luggage going
Yeah,
on board.
but I would add, don't
And
freak out if you didn't print your luggage tags,
yeah, they
because
will
they
have
have
it.
luggage tags there
Yeah.
that they
Yeah,
just
and
you will
the-
tip the guy a little bit more, but don't freak out if you didn't print them. You'll be fine.
and make sure to download the app, because pretty much anything you can think of to do on board, you can probably do it through the app, making reservations
Yeah.
at the
Oh, the
restaurants
app is
or
wonderful.
chatting or what have you. So those are all helpful things, and it's
Mhm.
all there. Incidentally, if somebody wants to, pardon the pun, jump on board at the very last moment, I believe there's still some open. There's still some cabins available, so
I
make sure to
I
go to
believe so
Star
too.
Trek,
I haven't checked the
thecruise.com.
number, but
Yeah,
yeah, they did. I know they opened up a few last minute ones too. There's not a lot, but I do believe if somebody did want
yeah,
to do a last minute,
yeah,
and that,
yeah.
that
So
happens a lot too. There's
yeah, I mean, and
some
if
that
you
say I'm not
if
going
your
to know if I
past
can make it happen
yeah,
until right
exactly.
before. So
Yeah, if the passport is not expired and you're basically ready to go,
yeah.
financially,
Hey,
then yeah,
if you
that
can
certainly
do
is
it,
an
do it, I would
opportunity.
say. Well, hey, JT, thank you so much. I mean, I can't, we've had Joey on here and given us kind of the down low, but it's nice to have you here, put a face to the cruise director's name, if you will. And personally, thank you. You've made the cruise so
Yes,
much fun, and one of the reasons why we return. So thank
Oh,
you.
it's
yes.
my absolute pleasure. I love doing it. It's such a great crowd. I mean, everyone is just amazing, and I can't wait to do it again.
All
Thank you
right.
very much. Yes,
Hey,
and
thank you so
see you on
much.
yeah, see you on board. And I mean,
Yep.
again, it's happening
Yeah.
Right.
next week.
There
All
Right.
right.
you go.
Thanks to our listeners and to those who are watching live right now. You can find us, as always, here on Facebook, Shoreleaf, your Star Trek Convention Community Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Shoreleaf. And both Jesse and I, floating in and around online, you can certainly find us as part of the Star Trek Convention
We are
Experiences
hard to
group
miss.
admins. We're hard to miss, yes. And thank you very much for joining us. And again, if you wanted to check out information about the Star Trek, go StarTrekTheCruise.com. Very easy. All the information is there, along with pictures and some videos, so you can check out what the experience looks like. Again, thank you for joining us. And remember, Virtual TrekCon 4 starts tomorrow. And just search for those words, or go to virtualtrekkon.com.
Thanks,
Keep
everybody.
trekking.
Have a good one.